What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. I made the thing there. I did. Basically this is my bolster. I put a picture up in the earlier video and stuff. It's a real simple idea, but basically the tooling that's in the middle, all this lot, you can make different tooling. So different profiles and different, you know, I mean this is obviously just making a dimple, it's like a dimple die. But you know, you could have a square profile, you could use it to, you know, put bends in bar, you could do anything with it basically. It's just a case of changing the tooling. It is only a little one, but I've got a 20-ton hydraulic press in the corner. So if I need anything more, I just shove it in that. That's what this collar's for basically, just to help spread the load if I do shove it in that one. But it's not doing a bad job, look. This is, I've been working up in thicknesses. This is, that's 1.2. That's 2, and this is like 2.6 or something. But on the thicker one, I don't know if you can see that. I mean, it's not a bad dimple, and it's nice and flat. Sort of if you look at it that way. I was finding that it was deforming slightly, so it was kind of dished out that. But then all you do is take the bottom tool out, shove that on the back side like that, shove his centre back in wherever I put that. Where'd I put the centre? Oh, here he is. So he goes in there like that, and then you just basically squash it flat again. Happy days. But it's not too shabby. There's no real marks on it that you can see from this side. I'll try and get the light. And there's no marking on the back of it either. And I quite like that. It does add quite a bit of strength to the piece of sheet as well, because you know you can just bend this otherwise. But now it's got like a, you know, it's on 3D rather than just 2D. It does put quite a lot of strength into it, and you save a little weight because you've got a hole in the middle of it as well. So I've just been mucking about with these, but I'm probably going to use this somewhere on the frame. And I'm thinking this bit in here, because I need to put something in there. There was on the original, so I'm thinking of, like, you know, obviously cut it to shape and sink it in and everything else, but I reckon that could be cool. Either that, or if I do put a gusset down the side, to have a dimple in the side there. I don't know, I just want a dimple. But Preston is going to come in dead handy, I'll tell you. All sorts of stuff I'll be able to do with that. Right, today is Saturday, so I'm cracking on with the frame. You would have seen in the last video, I'm literally just dressing stuff up, and if it needs a bit more weld, it's getting a little bit more, and I'm trying to dress it down and make it nice. That is a lengthy process. It is, and it's really cold in here as well. I don't want to let go of my coffee cup. But I did say in the last one that I was going to share what my plans are with the bike. So I'm having a break, and we can sit down and have a yap, and I'll tell you what my ideas are. I think they're good ideas. I don't know. Okay, right, this is just going to be a yap. I've already shown you what I'm doing with the grinding and the welding and the dressing it up, so you don't need to just watch me do loads of that. But what I want to do is lay out all the plans for the bike. So this is just a sit down yap, basically. Right, okay, so plans for the bike. There isn't actually going to be an awful lot of Bandit left on this by the time I'm done. If you look at the frame, it's just the purple bits. Everything else is new, right? The engine will be Bandit, but then, you know, I've got different suspension front and rear. It is a Bandit swing arm, but it's not the swing arm that came off this. It's off a 1200. The wheels is different, the brakes is different. Well, no, actually the back brake is the same. But there really isn't that much going to be left of the original bike. And up to this point, ASBO has just been a test bed to try all this stuff out and see if it works. Now, because of events, what with Jixit and various other bits and pieces, I didn't really get this how I wanted it, so I could go out and properly give it a bashing on the road. Just to see what it was like with all the new geometry, the new suspension and everything else. So to a point, I am playing with an unknown. It should be okay, because I tried to keep everything as it was, and the jig was set for the geometry and all that sort of stuff, so we shouldn't be far off, but it hasn't been tested. And I've been watching loads of channels where they build a custom bike, or do like a homebrew bike or something like that, and you see him get this turd of a thing and then pull it all apart, change the bits they're going to change, make it all look fancy and lovely and give it a nice paint job and stick it all back together again, big reveal, and then bugger off into the sunset. That's it, that's the last you see of it. You might see it lurking in the corner of a workshop. It don't look like it's done any miles. And some people do it and use it as a daily, I get all that, but you never see them actually give it large and try and break the bloody thing. So, any bike that I build is going to go around a racetrack. I don't care how slow it is. This bike is from 1997. It is a 600. It makes, I think, a stock, they said at the crank it makes 78 horsepower or something, and we've lost about 4 horses, something like that, from when we dynoed it last time. I mean, the engine's all going to get rebuilt and everything else, so I'm hoping to find a few of them ponies back. But, you know, it's never going to set the world alight. A modern day 600 will just trounce all over this and it will do it easily. So, you know, I don't really care how slow it is, but it still needs to go around a track. It still needs to get lent on, and we still need to see what it can do. All the other bits that I've changed are all the important bits, basically. So we've got a Daytona 955i front end. So that's the forks, the wheel, the calipers, all that sort of stuff. I made my own top yoke and whatnot. The suspension in the back is off I want to say it's 2007 CBR 600RR, which is a Honda. So currently we've got Triumph, Suzuki and Honda. The swing arm, that is Bandit. Yeah, it's not a 600 Bandit, it's a 1200 Bandit. We've also gone up on tyre size. So essentially I'm going with a 120 and 180 setup. So it's essentially a bit more rubber there. So all these things are going to change the way that the bike handles. The wheelbase is going to be a little bit longer because of the swing arm. We've mucked about with dog bones and stuff to try and keep the geometry and keep that angle of attack on the swing arm and the chain run and all that sort of stuff. There is lots and lots and lots going on. And we're not going to know if it's okay until we try and give it a spanking. So that's what we're doing. So, I lost my train of thought, so you've moved whilst I've collected them again. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build half a bike. Sort of. I want to put it around and test it. I mean, we are now, like, start of the year, it is still bitterly cold here. I don't know what it's like where you are, but it's really chilly and it's wet and it's horrible and blah, 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 blah. If I test it, I want to test it in the dry, which basically means summertime. So what I'm going to do first up is basically build this as a track day bike. So it's going to be the bare bones of a bike. So, you know, there ain't going to be any road gear on it. No lights, no indicators, no number plate board, you know, none of that lot. Mirrors, no. All of that stuff just ain't happening. It's going to be a basic frame with an engine in it, enough to stick a wheel on each end, brakes, exhaust and something to hang on to. Basically, it's the wiring is literally just going to run the engine. That's it. There ain't even going to be the wiring loom for the rest of it. It will have the M unit on it. You know, I'm going to be changing the tank about a bit, and I'm definitely doing something with the airbox and all that sort of malarkey. We will try it with that exhaust that I made up there as well, because I just want to see how noisy it is and if the idea is actually going to work. We will dyno it, but then at that point I'm going to get some sticky-ish tyres, not the road ones that I've got up there, but I'll get some basically track day tyres, slip them on the rims, and we're going to go out and we're going to have a play. I don't really care what track it is either. I really don't give a monkeys. I don't care if I've not been there before. I'm not going to be going L for leather, leaning on it and all this sort of stuff. The idea is to put it around the same series of corners, hopefully a little bit quicker each time, and we can get the suspension sorted, and make sure that the brakes work and make sure that it runs clean and it's predictable and all that sort of stuff, and lean on it and set it up and actually make sure that the bike handles and it's capable of doing it. So, you know, I need to prove that the brakes are okay, that the suspension front and rear is okay. I'm going to take Simon Rolls with me, probably Steve-O as well, because he used to be my pit gimp when I was racing, and he'll love it anyway. And we're just going to, you know, first lap outs and stuff, that'll just be a case of check nothing falls off it, basically, and it doesn't feel completely horrible. And then as the day goes on, hopefully we'll tweak things and we'll get it set up to the point where it's a proper handling bike. In my head, like if you're on a bike, you shouldn't be, the bike shouldn't distract you from the road that you're on and where you're going, basically. It should be an incidental thing. You just happen to be sitting on a bike. But if, you know, you're going through a series of twists and you think, well, hang on, it's not really holding the line, or it don't really want to tip in there, or, you know, the brakes are a little bit on the spongy side, or something like that. Something is wrong with the bike. It needs to be sorted. That's why they call it testing, funnily enough. So that's what we're going to do. Once I'm happy that the bike's okay, then it'll be coming back here and we'll be doing the final build. So that will include, you know, the paint job and the indicators and all that other stuff. I don't really see the point in finishing the whole bike and fixing all that stuff and having it looking lovely and then putting it around the track. Because if I crash it, that's an awful lot of work down the tubes. Like an awful lot of work down the tubes. And I'll just have to do it all again. And apart from that, if I like do get it all nice and fancy and everything else, and then give it an absolute spanking and then pass it on to somebody else, you know, yes, it will be cleaned and everything, but it's, you know, the tyres will be shredded. Well, actually they won't, because I've got another set up there. But that's what I'm thinking of doing. You know, I'll be out of park company with the bike knowing it's going to be okay, and knowing I've tried my hardest to test it as best I can. So that kind of sits quite well with me, actually. Plus, you know, I'll get a day on the track again, which would be quite cool. And if there's stuff that I need to come away and fix, well, once I've fixed it, I'll just be going back and having another go. So I might even get 2 track days out of this, but I want to do it in the dry. Just because that way, you know, entry speeds and all that sort of stuff, it's all going to be a little bit quicker than it would be in the wet. You can't really tell that much testing in the wet, I don't think. So once it's all tested and everything else, and we've finished at track, which will probably be done in primer. Oh, that's going to be the worst looking bike there. It'll all come back, get stripped down. I've already made loads of bits for it. I've got the yokes to finish off, I've got stuff to dress up, you know, stuff like that. If the exhaust works, well, that's the exhaust all done. And it will just be a case of getting stuff powder coated, making the bits that is missing. So, you know, things like the headlamp mounts, the number plate holder, the well, wherever the indicators are going to, you know, that sort of stuff, basically. Full wiring loom. All that lot will get put together. Stuff will get coated and painted and we can build it up. And I'm hoping that that shouldn't actually take too long. The time frame I'm looking at is I want to be able to test this when it's dry, bring it back, and then like by the end of the year have it all done basically, so we're ready to part company. And at that point it will be all shiny and, you know, lovely paint job and brand new tyres and all that sort of stuff. And we can move it on and think about the next project. As far as moving it on goes, I do have a couple of choices. I could just stick it on eBay and see what it goes for. I could go the route of support the channel for a tenner and your name goes in a hat and we do a draw or something like that. Raffling it off, I don't think is necessarily a great idea because you can come unstuck with that. So I don't know, there's various different options and I haven't really thought about it. More news on that when we get there. But the project that's coming up, there's something happening around April which could be quite cool. I don't know what's happening with Jixit. That's all down to Steve-O and his budget and his circumstances and various other bits and pieces. That's his project, he's paying for everything. This is mine, I'm paying for everything. But the idea is that the funds that are raised through doing ASBO is basically going to fund the next project. So as much as I can raise on it, it just means, you know, if I can raise more, it means I'll be able to do a nicer build with better quality stuff and, you know, nicer switch gear and, you know, maybe a set of flat slides and, you know, that sort of stuff. But ultimately it costs money to do all this, and it costs a fair bob as well. So whatever I get from this, that sets the budget for the next build. If I can get more, it's a better build. If I don't get a great deal, well, it's not going to be as spanky, basically. That's just the way it goes. I'm not a bottomless pit of money, and it does cost a fair few quid to do this sort of stuff, as anyone who does it will tell you. So that's it, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do you reckon that shoving it around a track is a good idea? Or should I just follow the crowd and just build it nice and get shot and get on to the next one? I don't want to do that just because I want to know the bike is fine before I part company with it. So it is going to be tested. Do I do it in its pretty frock or its undies, basically? That's the worst way of explaining it. But you get what I mean. If you've got a better idea, shout. I'd love to hear it. If we are going to do a track day, which we are, then obviously I can tell people where we're going to be and when. And if you want to book on and come and have a laugh and stuff, well, do that. It'd be lovely to meet some people. But it is going to be built as a road bike, not a track bike. I want it ridden. I don't want it as a bike that just sits in the corner and gets polished on a Sunday morning. I want it to be used for the purpose it was built for, basically. But let us know your thoughts. That's it, basically. That's my plans for ASBO. That's what I'm doing, unless something drastic happens and I change my mind, but I can't really see that happening. It makes sense in my head to do it this way. But anyway, there we go. That's where I'm going to leave it for this one. I know it's only a short one and it's basically just a chat and me not working, but I thought it important to let you know what's going to happen with this and the sort of time frame and the way I'm planning on doing it. Just because if I need to change anything about this approach because I've not thought it through, now's the time I need to be thinking about it. But there you go, that's it. Thank you ever so much for watching. Do hope you're well and staying safe. We'll see you on the next one. Laters! I've got a lot of grinding to do now.